Hey guys, so this morning before we get some rain, I was walking around the garden trying to tie up some tomatoes and just kind of looking over things. And so I thought it'd be fun to show you how things are measuring up from things that we bought at the greenhouse, things we started inside, and things that are just growing on their own from seeds that got dropped last year. Today I'm going to be comparing some sunflowers and some tomatoes. And then once we get done in the garden area, I'm going to go give you a quick overview on the GreenStalk. I was talking to my mom last night and realized that I probably needed to explain the benefits of it and the way that it's built a little bit more for you guys so that you can understand what makes it so special compared to other planter boxes. So here we go. We're going to see how things are measuring up today. So this is a sunflower that Eliza started from seed. And it is, oh, that's only about 6 inches. It's about 6 or so. Well, I'm going to go with about 6. I'll give it a good 6 inches tall. So at the tallest leaf, we are at about 5 foot 4 inches. Alright guys, so this is one of Eliza's plants. She had got this one from her greenhouse, and we're going to measure it, and then we're going to compare to seeds I started this year in March, the plants, how they're looking. And we're also going to look at some volunteer tomato plants and see how tall they all are compared to each other. So this one, at its tallest, is right about 14.5 inches. So this is a tomato plant that we started from seed this year. We're going to measure it up, and it's at its tallest is just about 12 inches. Alright guys, so this area I'm still working on getting the weeds undone, but I wanted to show you I found quite a bit. I bet I'm up to about 10 volunteer tomato plants that are coming back from last year. And so let's measure and see how tall they are. Alright, so these tomatoes that are volunteers are already as tall as this first tomatoes we looked at that were grown from the greenhouse. And these are just seeds that came up all by themselves from last year. Look at these beautiful purple potted pole beans. And there's a few tomato plants in between. I love that their stems are even like a purple color. It's been really fun to watch these growing. Alright guys, so here is my GreenStalk. I got it in January, so this is my first growing season in it. I had stuff in the bottom row. However, something ate it, so I've just replanted, and you can see I do have one little thing growing. Alright guys, so in this GreenStalk behind me, I had some empty pockets, so I threw in some seeds for Swiss chard, peach colored nasturtiums. One pocket has rattlesnake pole beans in it, and then another pocket had Sumter, S-U-M-T-E-R, cucumbers that we're trying new. And I also had Tom Thumb lettuce, and the last pocket that I planted had a leafy type of cabbage. It almost reminds me of a kale, the way that the plant is growing out in the garden. So I thought we'd give it a shot. So I'm going to show you what I have growing in it right now, and then I'm going to show you the process of the GreenStalk and how the watering system is a little bit different than just your typical watering systems for planters. So up top here I have Swiss chard, and I even have some more red beets and Swiss chard that I planted in there. Got a little bit of bug damage on this one. This second row I have red beets. I know this is all red beets. My kids have been actually eating, like see this is missing. They've been eating the stems. Oops, I just broke that, so somebody's gonna eat that. This bottom one, I had like every other was a lettuce and a kale, but the bugs are getting it. I mean, they chow down on this, and that was just since yesterday. Alright, So you can see I have a little bit of new growth coming on this. So I might just go ahead and leave it just to see how it turns out. I think I did plant red beet in here and it's coming up. I think that's a red beet and not Swiss chard. Here's some carrots that we planted just to see how they did, because these pockets are so deep that they'll grow just fine in there. Here's another red beet, and this kale. Up in here. All these ones that have like a lot of bug damage on them, I'll probably just give to my chickens. And then I'm going to come through and try to harvest. Look at that guy on there. See that? On the stem? No wonder he's eating all my stuff. He's huge. Ginormous. Anyhow, the chickens will be happy. Take them over right away. They're really not bothering these red beets at all. So we'll see how things grow on the bottom here. Alright, so I'm going to push you up here. So here is the watering reservoir, and there's different levels. And you just water it, and it'll go down this middle piece. It'll go down here, and once it goes down here, let me show you. Okay. Anyhow, so it goes down through these holes, all the way down. Each of these layers has one of these middle holes, and then there's another disc. You can kind of see it sitting in there. In each of those discs that I just showed you, there's 6 holes that line up with each of the pockets. So as the water is flowing down the GreenStalk, and it'll go in that disc, and then it'll go into those 6 holes so that each of these pockets gets a water. So one thing that I learned is, one of the things it says to do is fill your soil. Fill soil to top. Guys, I filled my soil. It was like right there at the top. But I did not think about the fact that my soil was much lighter, and as I watered it throughout the season, it was going to shrink down and not be so full. So one thing I will be definitely doing for next season is making sure I fill it up really good, and then I water it really well, and then add some more dirt to it so that my soil level is up higher, because it's kind of down pretty far. It's not going to hurt nothing because the pockets are really deep, but it would have been better if the soil level was to that point. And so when you get this in the mail, it comes in, each of these are separate, and you just have to assemble it, and they just click into place. So right here is where they click into each of the pockets so that it's easy to assemble. I'm going to put this top piece back on for the water, and I'll show you what it looks like once the water goes in and comes down, because you'll be able to see a little bit where it comes down to each of the holes. I only filled it to the first line, and you can see it's going down there. And then, let's see how it's dripping down. And there, it's dripping down through the little pockets on there, and it'll do that all the way down. So now it's gotten down here to the bottom, and it's dripping through here, and then if there's any extra, it will run through this last row to the ground. Now, because I have this tiny little itty bitty plant, anywhere that I just planted seeds or I have just little baby starts, I will gently water either with a watering can or with the hose, just to make sure that they're getting enough water throughout the whole pocket. And then that way the plants can get a good established, and as soon as they get a little bit of a few inches to them, then I quit doing that, unless it is like a really scorcher, and then I will sometimes come through and rewater each of the pockets. Like last week, I kind of let it go a little bit long, and so then my soil got real dry. But then a couple of days of me watering it real good and giving the sides a good hose, and then I was just back to having to water things from the top, and I didn't have to spray each of the pockets and throughout the whole GreenStalk. I hope you guys enjoyed as we were measuring tomatoes and the sunflowers, and that gave you a little bit more of an in-depth on the GreenStalk, and maybe that'll help you decide if you would like to get one or not. If you do decide to get a GreenStalk, I have a coupon code for $10 off you can use at checkout, and the code is Brinker. I will put that in this video's description. I hope you all have a good one, and we'll talk soon.